what they're doing. They're running us around.
Okay, for this one, I wanted to talk about the concept of dark patterns or deceptive design, and how, while, I mean, it's interesting that these things are recognized, but I think in recognizing them, we also separate them from the underlying products or whatever product they are applied to. And I think that stops us from being able to see when the product is what makes a pattern dark or light. Because I think when you define something as a dark pattern, what you're also implying, I think you do create a dichotomy. You're implying that everything else is a light pattern, everything else is good. It's really easy to see when you talk about, the UX concept of removal of friction and how that is generally seen as a good thing. And when I talk about the product making the pattern dark, I think it's very easy to talk about things like sports betting apps or online gambling, or what we've just been through with the whole crypto thing, right? FTX, for example, it turns out that everything about their app from a UX perspective was a dark pattern. Everything that made it easier to use their thing was a dark pattern because of what FTX was. So a dark pattern being recognized as this standardized thing, I think, is dangerous and further abstracts UX design as a profession from being actually connected to a product and recognizing what the product is, what it's used for. And I think that also exposes the marketing properties of UX design, because when you're making something easier to use in a commercial context, you're essentially making it easier to sell, and you're focusing on ways to improve that ability for people to pay for this thing or want to use this thing. I think UX deserves to be singled out in that sense, because UX is the only one that really claims to be working on a basis of empathy for users. Empathy is a really interesting thing because it doesn't necessarily take you all it really means is understanding a person. It's not an inherently positive thing, because, I mean, look at the Terminator. The Terminator had empathy. The Terminator wanted to better understand people in order to kill them better, right? And I think in that sense, UX design wants to better understand people in order to sell to them better. And that's what light patterns essentially are when you connect them. Light patterns versus dark patterns, when you connect them to a commercial product, you are using empathy in order to sell the product better.